I knew the cameras would come on as soon as I had a drop of my drink. Welcome everybody to another live conversation / debate with everyone's favourite cat, Mr. Conspiracy Catz, who's cunningly disguised himself as Baldy Catz tonight. I will hand you straight over to our esteemed ruler, and he can run you through the evening's events, because I've got to do something very producery in the background while Catz keeps you talking for 5 minutes. Catz, over to you.
See, that's it. Catz does all the to Catz. I'm Catz. Creaky.
Yes,
Good start in it. Okay, let's just start again.
Creaky, talking about yourself in the third person. That's we're not that big yet.
I mean, Creaky does all the technical stuff. He's brilliant at that. Two people who are brilliant are the people we've got here tonight. We had round one a couple of weeks ago on abortion, and you know what? It is a very sensitive topic, and it was handled sensitively. But one criticism that came out of it was people want to see two women debating it, and two women have come forward to debate it. I'm going to thank both of them again, because I know how sensitive a topic it is, and I know the backlash that you might get from the other side. But I also know from communicating with these two people we've got that they are articulate, they are civil, they are polite, and they'll handle this in the way that we've been handling all our debates so far. I did see a comment in the chat. Who was it? Tom somebody? I can't remember. Apologies. Who made a comment? Was it Tom who, sorry?
Tom Thumb? I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. I'm busy breaking the stream.
I have missed it, but it did say something along the lines of like, oh, I thought you were going to stay away from sensitive topics. But I think like now's a good time to say that like I think this channel will be the perfect channel for sensitive topics, because we don't allow idiots and morons on, do we, Creaky? Like, you know, we only have...
Well, apart from you and I, no. Yeah.
So,
you know, and they don't come much more sensitive than us cats.
No, exactly. You know, we've got our sensitive side, haven't we?
Of course we have.
No, but these topics, just to remind, I know I say this at the beginning of the show every single week, that, you know, you let us know what you want to debate and we'll put it on. If there's a topic you want to debate, we will do our best to find you an opponent. And if you can come forward with an opponent, even better, and we will absolutely put you on. And we've got lots coming up, but we'll concentrate on tonight's show. So before we get into round one and we talk about the structure, I'll just let everybody introduce themselves. So we will start with Crafty. I think she's probably better known to this community of the two. She's the owner of Space, Comet and Kepler. Crafty, do you just want to introduce yourself, your channel, give yourself a shield and a shout out?
Yeah, just very quick. I dropped a video today, actually, the latest in the Challenging Conspiracy series. So it was with Blue Marble Science, looking at is science the new religion? So what I do is I try to debunk conspiracies using the sociology method, because I have a master's in sociology. I'm also a member of the I Network, EIE, and we have the Silly Shill show, we have the Uncalled For, and a series of other shows that's going to come out this week and next week. And yeah, that's pretty much me, and I'm a goat farmer and I'm a carer.
Brilliant. And I'd highly recommend checking your videos out as well. I know I've given them a shout out a couple of times, but it comes from conspiracies at a really good angle. Hannah, I just want to thank you so much for stepping forward to do this. I know we haven't spoken before. I'll just let you tell people whatever it is you want to know, you want them to know about yourself. Off you go.
Okay. So hi everyone, I'm Hannah. I live in the United States. I live in Virginia. I am a college student, rising senior at William & Mary, and I'm also a young mom. I have a toddler who just turned 2 like last week. So yeah, that's me.
Brilliant. And again, thanks to both of you for doing this. Creaky, before I explain the rules, is there anything you want to say, or anything you need to?
I just want everybody to remember in the side chat that this is a conversation. Just because one person thinks one thing and another person thinks something different, it doesn't mean one of them's right and one of them's wrong. It just means they've got different belief systems. So be kind in the side chat, because I can see it's getting a little bit Yeah, it's getting a little bit something in the side chat already, and it had done before we even started the conversation. So remember, even though it was a genius idea to call the channel Agree to Disagree Live Debates, it's probably more accurate to say it's Agree to Disagree Live Conversations, because that's what we're trying to keep them to. So everybody keep it respectful. Don't forget, if you have got any questions, Catz will be putting the community polls up. And you can ask your questions there. Or are we gonna this week, Catz, because I've still forgotten to do the question form, are we gonna put a poll up in straight away now, and people can populate that poll with questions? Just, you know, not a poll, so just a community post for the questions. You want to do it that way so it doesn't interfere with any of them? Because I noticed last week and the week before people were dropping questions in the other ones, and I think we were missing some of them.
Yeah,
so if
I'll do that now. I'll just put a community post up. I'll just label it questions. Whack your questions in there, and when it comes to the questions,
so if anybody from the side chat has anything to add to the conversation, because that's what it's going to be, then Catz is going to put up a community post now, and I'm sure one of our lovely moderators will share the community post in the side chat, so you know where to leave your questions.
Julio. So we have the format, you know, is as usual. We'll have a little introduction, 10 minutes, you know, if needed, from each person, while the other person just sits and listens, and then we'll have a chance to refute what the other person said before we get into the kind of back and forth discussion of it. And then at the end, the questions that you've been leaving in the poll that I promise I'll put up as soon as I shut up, we'll get to those. So we haven't decided who's going first. So Creaky, while I put the poll up, do you want to sort out who's going first, and then we can get started?
Well, I think personally, seeing as everybody knows who Crafty Keeler is, it's only fair that we let Hannah go first. Are you happy with that, Keeler?
Completely agree.
Yeah. Hannah, you happy with that?
Sure.
Here we are, whenever you're ready.
Just 10 minutes, whatever?
Yeah, just let everybody know who you are.
Rock and roll.
Okay, so I am on the pro-life side, whatever. So basically, I'm going to be talking from my own experiences and my own beliefs as a pro-life woman. A lot of them may coincide with other pro-life people, but just to let everyone know, it's from me personally, so I can't always speak for everyone. So basically, the pro-life side, the basic is that, you know, killing innocent humans is wrong. Abortion kills innocent humans, so therefore abortion is wrong. And that is like the main thinking that a lot of people see when they are pro-life. So I guess we can all hopefully agree that killing innocent humans is wrong. If not, that's a whole nother side of the debate. But abortion kills. So first off, what happens in abortion? It ends the life of the embryo or fetus. The embryo or fetus is alive according to biology. They have all the characteristics of life. Some of them may not be present in the exact moment, and like reproduction, just like a newborn may not have that ability at the moment, but they have all the potential and inherent ability for those things, which makes them alive. So then, are they human beings? Yes. Short answer, they are Homo sapiens. A human woman can't conceive or gestate or birth something of another species. So they are human beings. The definition of fetus is actually, one of them is unborn human baby. So then innocent. A fetus or an embryo or a fetus is innocent, for they are not guilty. They are pure. I count them as innocent just like a newborn would be innocent, because, you know, they aren't intentionally doing something wrong or causing harm intentionally. So to break down, abortion kills innocent human beings. Let's see.
Hannah, if you want any of your slides, just let me know, and they're queued up ready to go. So when you're ready for them, if you just want to let me know. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. Okay, so I know there's a lot of like common arguments when it comes to the pro-life, pro-choice debate. And I know one big one is that it's just like the fetus is just a clump of cells. And actually, that would be a good slide to bring up. Slide 8. Of
Slide
fetal development.
8, was that?
Yes.
Okay, slide 8 is on screen.
Okay. So this shows the fetal development in the embryonic stage. And so at 4 weeks, there already is a heartbeat. And then 5 weeks, the beginning of brain activity. 6 weeks, you're developing hands and feet, fingers and toes. And then 8 weeks is the end of the embryonic stage. And that is where all external and internal organs are already pretty well formed. They're not fully formed, but they are well formed enough, and they're all in place. So then the next slide, continuing from 9 to 12 weeks, starts the fetal stage. At 10 weeks, a fetus can respond to the mother's touch, which I found really cool. Like, you can't feel it yet, but if you like touch your belly or something, the fetus may be able to kick or respond to it. At 12 weeks, they almost look like a tiny newborn if you've seen an ultrasound. They also can kick like crazy. And then 12 to 13 weeks, there's been a new study that shows that they may be able to feel pain. I know it's a pretty new study. It came out within like the last 6 months maybe. But it was done by a pro-life and a pro-choice person, scientist, which I found pretty cool that they could work together on that. So that's new, which I found really cool. Sorry, I get really fascinated by fetal development. And 21 weeks is the earliest that a preemie has been born and survived. So basically, just to show that they aren't clumps of cells, they are living, they are growing, they are developing. The only time it's really a clump of cells is right after fertilization, like as soon as it becomes a zygote. So then, let's see. I guess another common argument would be my body, my choice. And as a pro-life person, how I view it is that, yes, the woman is carrying the child. And I use fetus, child, unborn child, all that just interchangeably. So she is carrying the child, but there is also the other body involved. So to me, I don't have a right to decide what a woman does with her body, but that woman doesn't have a right to decide to kill the body inside of her, if that makes sense. Because nobody has a right to choose to kill innocent human beings. And I feel like, yes, there obviously is bodily autonomy for a woman, no doubt about that. A woman can choose basically to do whatever she wants. I really don't care. I don't want to control that. Not my business. But there is a certain point where you got to know that your right to your body can't cross over to the right to control somebody else's and end somebody else's life. So yeah, that's the my body, my choice part. Let's see. Oh yeah, no uterus, no opinion. I guess I'll go into that. So in my opinion, I feel like men and women, anybody should have an opinion on abortion. I think nobody should be excluded from human rights issues. I believe that men are just as able to have opinions and should be able to voice that as much as women. And let's see. So the child is half the father's. Yes, the woman is carrying the child. She should have slightly more of a say just because her body is going through all of that. But the child or the father should be able to have a say in whether his child lives or dies. And just quick tidbit, Roe v. Wade in the United States was decided by old white men, all 7 of them. So I feel like that's a little bit of a hypocrisy, but let's see.
About 3 more minutes just for the opener.
Okay. So I guess, life of mother, that whole issue of is it morally acceptable to get an abortion if the mother's going to die? So abortions in the United States due to the life of the mother are less than 1%. They are extremely rare, which is wonderful that it doesn't have to come down to that. But intent is everything. To my knowledge, you can, if your life is in danger, you can have a C-section or go into early delivery and birth your child. They may not survive, but the whole point is to save the mother and not to intentionally kill the child. So it's just like, intent in when you kill somebody who's born, like intent matters. So if you are to get a procedure that will save the mother, that may end up resulting in the child's death, that is morally acceptable. So I do think we should do everything we can to save both lives. I guess, and lastly is I can get rid of it if I want to. It's legal. A lot of things are legal or are illegal that are right or wrong. Legality doesn't equal morality. There's a lot of instances in history where immoral things have been legal, and in history where moral things have been illegal. So basing arguments off of legality, I think, is just null and void at this point. Yeah, let's see. How much time do I have?
I think about 30 seconds.
Okay, then I'll just stop there.
Okay, thank you very, very much for that. And thank you for coming with the slides as well. It's always good to see bit of visuals. Creaky, have you got anything you want to add?
No, nothing right now. I'm extremely busy trying not to die from heat exhaustion and keeping an eye on the side chat and monitoring the questions as they come in. Somebody's tagged me in the side chat asking if I can pass a question on to Hannah. No, I'm far too lazy to do that, which is why we use the community tab for any questions you do want to ask. So if any of you do have a question, either for Hannah or Keela, please put them in the community tab. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Okay, so I will confess to forgetting to start the timer, so I kind of guessed around 10 minutes. I do apologise for that. We'll find out how accurate I was when we go back to the replay. So I'm going to guess around about 10 minutes for you, Crafty. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right, take it away.
Yeah, Creaky, if you could bring up my slides.
Yeah, no problem. Starting at the beginning, or?
Yep, and we'll run through them.
Okie dokie. Number 1 is on screen now.
Okay, so I would be of the more extremist point of view in terms of pro-choice. I am for free, safe, and legal abortion as early as possible, but as late as necessary. And that gets me into trouble a lot because, a lot of people would say, "Oh, as late as necessary." They question that. They also question the free part. So if you want to go on to the next slide there.
Okay.
So I feel that income should not be a barrier to accessing healthcare. And let's be honest, because it's a healthcare choice, it is actually healthcare. The cost of an abortion at the moment can be up to 2,000-3,000, depending on which how late you are. So the later term you're having an abortion, the bigger the cost that you're going to pay. Women also lose out in wages if they have to book time off to travel. Airfare and hotels are expensive if you book late. So the reason why I talk about this is because for the majority of my life, except for the last year and a half, I have lived under an abortion ban. We have had a complete abortion ban in Ireland, pretty much. Now, the courts have said that you can have an abortion if your life is in immediate risk, and I'll come back to that later. But what that basically means is the majority of the time, the fetus, even when a woman's life or health is at risk, is always put above the woman. If you go on to the next slide there. Mm-hmm. So what do we want? We want safe abortion. Medical professionals should carry out medical procedures. Simple fact of the matter is, Ireland shows this. If you have an abortion ban, what happens is either it goes underground, and we've seen that in other countries, or women do things themselves. And I know this for a fact, and I'll come back to it later on. Women, when they find out they're pregnant, right now they can go to Women on Web or Women Help Women, and they can get the abortion pill. And they're disguised as normal packets, and most of them get through. So they are sitting in their front rooms with no medical professionals, no medical background, and no medical backup. And they are doing this themselves. Ireland proves it. We want safe abortion in safe, professional, and non-judgmental, in a non-judgmental way, and following best medical practice. But the big thing here as well is that it should be done in the state that a woman pays taxes. You're going to pay taxes for your healthcare. You should receive the healthcare that is supposed to be for you. Next slide. And of course, legal. Criminalization is not a solution to medical issues. Very simple. Regulations are important and they must be enforced, but criminalization is not healthy. Forced pregnancy should not be a pillar of any civilized society because blanket bans do not work. Again, Ireland is proof of that. So next slide. So very quickly, the abortion procedure. Medical abortion before 10 weeks is two pills, mifepristone and misoprostol. And I have been with women when they have taken these pills because they should be taken under supervision. If anything does go wrong with them, they need to be able to call a hospital or an ambulance. So the fact of the matter is, yes, they are on the list of basic and essential medicines. They are viewed as safer than aspirin, but they should still be under medical supervision. They are available from Women on Web and Women Help. Ban on abortion at all. It makes it prolonged because women have to save, women have to book time off work and wait for expect a 10-year-old to vote, drink, or smoke. That's for later in life because the stages of development are important. So, personhood. I take the religious teaching, and I'm not religious, but I grew up in a Catholic Ireland. I take the religious teaching before 1960s, where they talk about ensoulment. And ensoulment was the deliberate and intentional movement of the fetus, which usually is when the baby kicks for the first time. As I said, the stages of fetal evolution is important. So from zygote to embryo to fetus to baby, they are not the same thing. They do not feel the same way. They do not have the same weight, and not physical weight. I mean weight in terms of moral weight. Again, when we're talking about abortion, the majority of abortion happens before 13 weeks. So you're talking about as early as possible. The problem with this is that you get into the argument, and Hannah touched upon it there, of the good abortion, bad abortion issue. You know, I agree with abortion before 20 weeks. I agree with abortion before this time, but I don't agree with it after. And the problem here, leading into the next point, is equating women's life with their fetus endangers women just beyond just abortion. The recent abortion debate in Ireland, culminating in the repeal of the Eighth Amendment, which was a blanket ban in our constitution, there is a huge body of work from the Citizens' Assembly, which is still online and still available, that you can actually go and see the full weight of this discussion. And one of the things that came out was from the Midwives for Choice, where they were talking about, you know, if a woman has cancer, she can't have cancer treatment while being pregnant. If a woman wants a normal birth, a natural birth instead of a C-section, they can go to the courts. The HSE could go to the courts and say she's putting the baby's life at risk. So basically forced procedures on a woman. So there is no bodily autonomy. There is no choice. So calling, and I'll get to this in a minute, calling pro-life pro-woman, it doesn't equate. Potential is never a guarantee. At any point in time, Nature could take its course. We have stillborns, we have fatal fetal anomalies, and I'll come back to that later. We have severe issues when it comes to cancer treatments, when it comes to the health, the mental health, and the physical health of the mother, and the life. And when the big question when it came to, I'll come back on this, but the big question when it came to Safisha was, when is it immediate enough to step in? When a life is at risk, when is it immediate enough? I also believe citizenship is a social contract that starts with the birth cert. That is when society accepts that they have a responsibility to you. And of course, not just my opinion, the UN Court of Human Rights said forced pregnancy is a form of torture. And they said it in the case of Amanda Mellett versus Ireland, where she had to travel because of a fatal fetal abnormality. There was also the case of Ireland versus PP, which was a woman who was pronounced brain dead. Over Christmas, the family were not allowed to turn off life support because she was 8 weeks pregnant. Miss Y, who was strapped to a bed, force-fed, and forced cesarean. The ABCD cases, Misty, we have a list of cases that have been successful in the UN Court and the EU Court of Human Rights. You can just look at that body of work as well. We have the experience here. We have the experience, and it's important to look at the experience. Can you pull up slide 8 there?
About 3 minutes, just to say.
Yeah, I won't be long. So, pro-woman, pro-life, is that really a question? Being pro-woman is not, being pro-life is not being pro-woman. Anti-choice takes away freedom of choice, freedom of education, and freedom of bodily autonomy. Anti-choice infantilizes, shames, and stigmatizes women for choosing something that is right for them at the time. Making abortion illegal makes women do desperate things. I have heard of women taking bleach, drinking bleach, and ended up burning their esophagus. I have heard of women using hangers in Poland and in Venezuela and other places in South America. It makes you do desperate things. And because of the stigma that's created around the illegality of it, you can't talk to anyone. So you do start to internalize it. Forced pregnancy is not liberation. Reducing women to being just mothers is not liberation. Motherhood should be a choice. It should be wanted, and it should be at a time where both parents, or the mother, if she wants to raise a single child, is ready and is stable enough to do that in her life. Next slide.
Okay.
So there's two slides left. I won't be long. So, lessons from Ireland. Since 1980 to 2018, 170,000 Irish addresses were given in UK clinics for abortion. Between 2014 and 2018, over 3.5 thousand pills were seized by customs. The important point about that is how many actually got through, because I have sat with over 37 cases in this country in the space of between 2015 and 2017. 37 women, I sat in their front rooms while they took those pills. So how many actually got through? Case after case was won in the Court of Human Rights. Abortion ban affects more than just access to abortion. Every single referendum that we have had in Ireland since 1983, the public voted against restrictions, culminating in 2018, where Ireland was the first to bring in abortion legislation by popular vote, which was 66.4% of the population. So the last thing I want to say about abortion, the facts. Women have abortions, regardless of how you feel about it. Regulation, not criminalization. Blanket bans, again, do not work. The overwhelming amount of women who have abortions feel relieved, not regret. Restrictions to abortion makes it more expensive, less safe, and unnecessarily difficult to obtain by vulnerable citizens like the sick, like the disabled, and asylum seekers. Access to sex education, contraception, and all pregnancy services should be improved alongside the legislation for abortion. Maternal death rates are often brought up, shouldn't be a factor in bodily autonomy at all. And abortion does not cause infertility or cancer. It's one of the biggest misnomers that comes up. Doesn't happen. So finally, you want to go on to that last slide? Women have
Great.
abortions for many different reasons. None of them are easy. All of them are valid.
Okie dokie. Quite powerful opener from both people there. You seen anything in the chat you want to address, Creaky? Or
No, nothing yet. Apart from, like I say, the chat does seem to be having a debate all of their own. So as I've said, don't forget to submit your questions. If you feel you can add to the conversation, don't be afraid to do so.
Yeah, just go to the community tab and it's all there. There's a post set up. There's 3 questions in there at the minute, and we should be getting to those in about 45 minutes. Before then, we'll have a chance just for a quick rebuttal from each person. So Hannah, you've had a chance to listen to what Crafty said, and take 5 or 6 minutes just to give thoughts on any points she's raised, and then she can do the same, and we'll get into the back and forth. Are you ready? Oh, you've muted yourself.
No, sorry, that...
Or Creaky's muted you.
There we go.
Yeah, there we are. Anyway, sorry, Hannah.
No, I was just going to say, sorry, my toddler woke up from his nap, so I'm trying to keep him busy. I guess, so in the United States, 98% of abortions are elective. The main reason being they don't want to, take care of the child, they don't have financial support, etc. So only 2% are medical reasons. So then there's pro-life, which is or not pro-woman. So the pro-life position is that basically it is wrong to kill innocent humans. And the second portion is that women don't need abortions to succeed. The whole point of pro-life is to make a society that will support women in their needs and getting a career or an education or doing whatever they want, so they do not have to kill a child, and so they do not have to go through these horrible things to help them succeed. So the whole point is to give them the help and the care that they deserve, whether it be pregnancy help, parenting help, sex education. A lot of pro-lifers are okay with comprehensive sex education, and over 90% are okay with birth control. And then we also, abortion kind of seems like it is saying that the male body is like the perfection of society, that women have to get rid of what is uniquely women in order to be like men, because men are the ideal idol. So to say that is to just, erase women and erase what makes us who we are. And we should not have to be equal to men. We should be... What? Come here. We shouldn't be equal to men. We should be equal with men. Come here, baby. Sorry. So then, let's see.
So if you want to take some time, just say if you want to take some time just to settle him, it's not a problem. We can answer to the chat. Yeah, don't feel. Yeah, you go, and we'll talk to the chat a bit if you need a minute to.
I'm just going to put him in my lap real quick.
No problem. So now's the time to see what's going on in the chat.
Yes, Turquoise Laura's arrived. Better late than never, I suppose. From our first moderator. I hope she's got a note.
Okay, I will be right back.
Keeping us in up to date with the football scores as well. So that's all right. So I won't spoil it in case anyone was going to watch Match of the Day. But right, so I'm sure she won't be. I'm sure she won't be long. But it's just an odd time of the day for. I think it's about mid-afternoon, isn't it, where Hannah is?
Yeah, I think so.
So, right, let's see the chat. Bill Ashby, hello. Bacon Earth. Critical Cripple, hello. You know what? I'm just going to read through. I'm not going to read through the entire chat and say hello to everybody. So, what have you been up to today, Creaky? What have you been doing?
I have literally done nothing, and it's been the most awesome day I've had in a long time, because obviously we've been able to reopen the shop now, haven't we? So my boy works in the shop full time, and I just kind of go back and forth as and when I'm needed. And of course, now it's back to normal opening hours. Dad didn't have to go with him today, so I did a little bit of research this morning for the video I'm going to be recording tomorrow, and then did naff all all day, and it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I'm a big fan of doing nothing.
I've not stopped all day. I've missed the warmest day of the year. I've missed it start to finish. Anyway.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Hannah's back. All right. Cool.
Okay.
Take it away.
So, what was I saying? Yeah, so basically that is why we believe pro-life is pro-women. Actually, in the United States, more women are pro-life than pro-choice right now. 51% are pro-life and 43% are pro-choice, with a few undecided people. So then basically we have thousands of organizations and clinics and support groups and outreaches that help these women in need. And we provide monetary support, medical support, birth control, STD testing, pregnancy testing, ultrasounds, parenting classes, supplies, housing, even jobs, stuff like that. So our whole point is to create a society that will help women in what they need, so we do not need to go to drastic measures such as abortion. Then going to back alley abortions. In the United States, the numbers were the deaths of back alley abortions were conflated by the co-founder of NARAL, Bernard Nathanson. He admitted to it. The year before Roe v. Wade, only 39 women died from illegal abortions, which is close to the same amount of women who died from legal abortions. So it's still tragic, but it is not in the thousands or the 100,000s or the millions. So there's that. And yes, women will get abortions whether it's illegal or not, but murder still happens even though it's legal. Slavery still happens, sex trafficking, rape, everything that is illegal still happens. That doesn't mean we should make it illegal or make it legal. So the point is to make it illegal so we can regulate it, but also put our resources to helping women and putting our money towards actually supporting the things that will basically stop the reasons why women need abortions, like the root problems. Instead of focusing on abortion, we should fix the problems that are causing women to go to these situations, such as abusive partners or lack of health care or whatever it is. And then there's, pro-life, pro-slavery thing. So forced pregnancy is when you force somebody to become pregnant. We are not forced pregnancy. We do not force people to become pregnant. You cannot force a biological process such as gestation. So what you're saying when you say that is, we're forcing a woman to stay pregnant because we say she cannot get an abortion. Well, there's a difference between saying you can or cannot do something and forcing somebody to do something. There's two different lines of actions there. So no, we are not forcing women. We're just saying you can't kill your child. Me saying you can't kill your born child isn't forcing you to do anything. It's just saying, hey, please don't kill your child. But also you can't force a gestation. It happens on its own. It's an automatic biological process that takes place on its own. So we can't personally force it to happen. It happens all on its own. So there's that. And I know the UN has been kind of controversial in the United States right now, so I'm not going to go into that. Let's see. Oh yeah, potential life versus personhood, whatnot. So you either are alive or you're not. You aren't potential life. The fetus is growing alive according to biology. You can't have potential life. It is or it's not. There's no in between. Personhood. We all know instances where born humans were considered non-persons or not even humans, subhumans, parasites, whatnot, simply because people wanted to discriminate against them. We all know that's happened in history, and look where that's gotten us. There's no such thing as a human non-person. A human is a person by definition, and a person is a human. So to strip away somebody of their personhood simply because you deem them not a person is extremely discriminatory. So it may not be a legal person, but they are persons according to the definition. And even if you don't want to go into personhood, they're still human beings, and all human beings deserve respect and life, especially innocent ones like a baby. I'm trying to think of what else Keela was saying because she had some really good points.
We've got about a minute left, just of the rebuttal. Obviously, you get the back and forth afterwards. We've got about a minute of this section left.
Okay. So basically, women and her unborn child are both equal. Not allowing a woman to kill her child doesn't, actually dehumanize a woman. By not allowing abortion, you're allowing two human beings to live in their own body with their own lives and their own inherent rights. By allowing an abortion, you're allowing a woman to strip all rights away from an innocent human, saying, I have control over you because you are in a situation or a location or are young enough that I don't like it, so I can take away your life. So no, allowing abortion is actually giving women all rights and another innocent human none. By not allowing abortion, you're allowing two innocent humans to live their lives. A bodily autonomy is still there. A woman still has rights to her own body, but so does the child. And you have to learn that when rights conflict, some rights will actually prevail over others just because that's what happens. So a woman has all the rights to her body and whatever she wants to do. She just does not have a right to control her child. So there is a difference. And pro-lifers really do not care what you do as long as you don't, end the life of your child. That's all we care about. And we care about helping youth women to get through pregnancy, but also parenting, adoption. There are up to 2 million couples waiting to adopt right now. Babies hardly ever go into the system. Only 1/4 of the kids in the system are even adoptable because most kids are reunited with biological family because, private adoption and foster care are two different situations, two total different things. So yeah, I guess that's all I can say as of right now that I can remember.
I was on mute there. No, that's superb. Crafty will have a chance now to just refute what you said, and then you can get into it with the discussion, and we'll see what flows from that. But I'll just pass you on to Creaky to see if there's anything that I should be saying that I haven't, or if there's anything he wants to say.
No. I think we should go straight over to Crafty Keeler.
Take it away.
And so, I make a distinction for forced pregnancy. In 2012, I became pregnant from a rape. I know what it is to be impregnated and be forced to become pregnant. And I know what it is to be forced to be pregnant. And there is a difference. When you're forced to become pregnant, you are violated beyond recognition. When you then turn to the people that should be there to help you, and they say no, that is a violation beyond recognition. So there is a difference between forced pregnancy, becoming pregnant, and forced pregnancy to be pregnant. And that's an important difference because the state has a relationship with you. You give taxes to the government to receive health care. And when they turn you down in your hour of need, regardless of how you became pregnant, I can tell you from experience, when you go to your doctor that you trust and you beg for help and they say no, that is violence against a person, against your very being, against your very ability to trust people. And this is the problem with making it illegal. You can be against abortion and still be pro-choice. I am not for abortion, but I respect that there are some cases that I will never understand where people genuinely need it. And you say there that, the figures were conflated regarding back alley abortions. If there was one person dying from a back alley abortion, that's one too many, especially when it could have been prevented. And that's the point. That's the problem that I have with anti-choicers. And that's why I cannot call someone pro-life, because one, it assumes that I'm against life. I fight for my local hospital. I fight for local services. I do that too. But to then suggest that I'm against life because I respect the choices of women to choose abortion, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Both equal. That is a big, big subject. In 2012, we had a woman in Ireland. She was a migrant from India. She was a dentist, Savita Halappanavar. She was brought into hospital with a miscarriage. And she asked for an abortion to speed up the process. And because there was a fetal heartbeat, they told her no. She ended up dying from sepsis. So to say that they're both equal and that some rights will just have to take precedence, yes, you're absolutely right. But the question is, which rights take precedence? And when you have it illegal and written and solidified into law, and let me be clear, law is not regulation. Law is different because you're involving the legislator, you're involving the courts, you're not just involving the medical professionals. The question over whose rights will take precedence, in my mind, has to be the woman. Women can have more children. The majority of women who have abortions already have at least one child. So the question over some rights will be preferred or will take precedence, you're absolutely right in that. The question is whose? The big issue that I see is the elective crap. Because what that does is it creates a situation, good abortion, bad abortion. And I don't fall into that trap. Good abortion, someone who was raped, someone with fetal abnormalities, someone who's disabled, someone who's going through cancer treatment. Bad abortion, someone who just doesn't want to be a mother. I'm sorry. If you are not in a position to be a mother, sometimes it's more responsible to say, I'm not ready to be a parent. And parenthood should not be something that's forced on someone because of circumstance. Parenthood should be planned for. Parenthood should be respected. And the issue that always comes up is, well, you could always adopt. You could always foster. I'm sorry, I don't want to give up my body to be an incubator for 9 months because there's risks that come with being pregnant too. And I don't want to take those risks. It's very simple. I shouldn't be forced to take those risks. And that's why I always bring it back to the fact that it is forced pregnancy. When you have it illegal, and again, I agree with you, regulations have to come in. When you make it illegal, Ireland proves it. Ireland proves the case. Once it's illegal, they don't have to legislate. They don't have to make any regulations because it's illegal. Very simple. We had in 1983, it came in. 1992, we saw a rape victim at the age of 14. They seized her passport when her parents tried to bring her to the UK. She became suicidal. The High Court actually said, no, it was the Supreme Court actually said a woman can have an abortion if her life is an immediate risk, including in cases of suicide. It took them till 2015 to actually legislate for that. That is ridiculous. So I have to bring it back. This is an issue of forced pregnancy. And the question is, whose rights will be preferred? For me, it always has to be the woman. If you're not ready to be a mother, that should be an acceptable way of having an abortion. Yes, I agree. Create the situation, create the society where that option isn't going to be for everyone because it's a better world. But the fact of the matter remains, we do not live in a perfect world. We do not live in a black and white society. We have a society that is so divided and is rooted in the poverty trap at the moment that to say, oh, well, we'll just create these situations. In Ireland, when your child turns seven, you are taken off lone parents. That's just a fact. That came in a couple of years ago. So the supports are not there. And yes, the supports should be there, and we should work to get the supports there for women who choose to continue with the pregnancy. But the fact of the matter is, the services are not always there. And they should. It doesn't always come down to the services. As I said, women choose abortion for a myriad of reasons. All of them are difficult reasons. None of them are easy, and all should be respected. And yes, you absolutely have the right to be against abortion and feel like abortion is not a good option. But you shouldn't be able to force that onto another human being. That's my position.
Right. Thank you. So, I'm just keeping an eye on the chat. It is heating up a little bit. Obviously, it's a really sensitive topic, and but I think both debaters so far credit to both of you. The way that you've presented yourselves has been fantastic, I think, and hopefully, you're doing us proud, because we do try and we want this channel to be able to handle topics like this, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. And again, this evening so far, both sides of the conversation have presented themselves in an appropriate manner. Nobody's screaming and shouting at each other yet.
No, we won't.
Because here comes a test. This is sort of the back and forth. Now, I'm going to keep an eye on the questions, and I know in the past couple of weeks, a lot of people have had questions that haven't been asked because we've ended up going to, a little bit too late. So I'm wondering whether we just set a time now where we dive into the questions, and that is it. Do you think about 25 to 9? That gives 25 minutes.
I agree, yeah.
The questions should be preferred over the back and forth anyway. We will be respectful to each other. I think we can respect each other's positions.
Brilliant. I don't know, you've been great. So if I do cut one of you off at 25 to 9, it's not because I'm being rude, it's because that's what we've decided from the onset, and then we can get through, because there are a lot of questions building up. So just a reminder to everybody, if you want to go over to our community tab, there is a poll, a post there for you to put questions in. We will ask them, right? At 25 to 9, you'll get your question asked. So get it put in there. But for now, how should we start this, Creaky? Does anyone want to just start the back and forth?
I think we should just get straight into it. So whichever one of you has got something you want to say it now.
Well, I think I just spoke, so
I guess I'll go. So let's see. Do I just ask a question or say whatever is on my mind?
Yeah, now is basically the conversation between the two of you, so just let it flow, and just as long as nobody's monopolizing the conversation for too long, just let it go.
Okay. So Keela, is that how you say your name? I just want to make sure I'm saying it right. Okay. So you say that a woman should choose whether to go through motherhood or be a mother or not, correct?
Yes.
So when do you believe So when you're pregnant, do you believe a woman is not a mother, I guess is my question.
She's not a mother until she chooses that she wants to be a mother, in my view. I mean, if someone comes to me at 8 weeks pregnant and says, I'm pregnant, I'm going to be a mammy, then I use the terminology that they're going to use. And it's very simple. I use it with every other social aspect, whatever they choose to identify themselves as, really. And it's respectful of their perspective,
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think we should all use language that respects the woman and how she feels about it, for sure. But also, in my opinion, you are a parent as soon as you conceive a child. So to me, when I say sorry, I'm trying to word this correctly. I'm tired. Pro-lifers are not forcing women to be mothers because you become a mother as soon as you become pregnant. So if you want to recognize that or not, it's fine. You can do whatever you want there. But to us, it's the fact that you already are a mother. So we aren't forcing motherhood. We are just saying, like, hey, please don't throw your child. So that's, a part of that motherhood issue.
But again, that's part of the problem, you see, because you start from your perspective. You don't start from the mother's perspective or the perspective, the pregnant woman's perspective. That's the problem. For the first instance, you say you're not. It's not about forcing women to be mothers. It's about forcing a woman to continue with a pregnancy she does not want. And there's a big difference between crisis pregnancy and unwanted pregnancy. So the problem with it is, as early as you can, to have an abortion if that's what you choose. By making it illegal, you rule out the ability to have an early term abortion before it gets to a point where it can feel, where the fetus can feel or resembles a human being. That's the problem. What I see with most pro-lifers is they start from their perspective instead of what the woman actually wants.
I definitely see where you're coming from. To us, we're starting from biology. So in biological terms, you are a mother. So I guess that's where we are standing. So we will acknowledge, obviously, if a woman says she doesn't feel like a mother, that's fine, and we'll acknowledge that. but we also have to acknowledge the biological part of all of it. So when we do say that she is a mother, we are not coming just from our beliefs, but from science.
Well, I mean, I take issue with that. I'm going to pull you up on that because biology and nature can be cruel. And we all know this.
Yeah.
When a woman has a miscarriage, that is nature being cruel. That is biology saying nope. When biology decides that it's not going to form a skull, that it's not going to form embryonic fluid, so there's no kidneys, there's no liver, there's no vital organs. To force a woman to continue with that pregnancy is both physically damaging and emotionally damaging. And again, blanket bans don't take into account for that. And when it comes to fatal fetal abnormalities, I mean, we've had the last 10 years of debate about this. Again, the starting point, biology, reducing things down to biology is seeing biology as black and white. It's not black and white. There are variants, there are issues there. And I do really, before anything else is said, I make a distinction between disability and fatal fetal abnormality. There's a reason why fatal is in there. The baby is not going to survive outside of the womb. And so as a parent or as parents, you should be able to decide whether or not you are able to continue with that pregnancy. If you do, all of the services should be there to support you. But at the same time, if you don't, all of the services should be there to support you. And that's what it means to be pro-choice. That you actually respect the fact that biology and nature and society is not black and white and it's not perfect.
You guys hear me still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my AirPod just died. Not really mine, but I'm borrowing it. Okay, so I do agree biology isn't always black and white, but I also feel like in some ways it is. Like, is it a human or not? Is it alive or not? There are definitely things where it is black and white, but I definitely see where you're coming from with it's not always black and white. So with fetal anomalies and all those instances, those are really rare when it comes to abortion cases. So a lot of the times when I'm talking about abortion, I'm purely talking about elective abortions and not fatal or rape or incest or those smaller sides of abortions.
Okay.
Just to put in perspective.
Yeah.
But when it comes to those, personally, I've not been in that situation. I know it's one of the hardest things you can go through. And to me, I've seen a lot of women who have done palliative, I don't know how to pronounce that word, care.
Palliative, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Where they will be able to birth their child and hold their child for as long as the child lives. And that gives women a chance and fathers maybe a chance to connect with their child instead of, just straight killing the child. But I do understand where people are coming from when they say abortion for those reasons. I don't agree with it, but I do understand the perspective.
Well, just on that, just really quickly, I have a quote from Terminations for Medical Reasons. And one of the women who started up Termination for Medical Reasons said, I woke up every day and I wondered, is today the day my body is going to kill my baby? I went to work. I was embraced by people, excited, asking if I had chosen names, and genuinely looking forward to when I would have my baby, and all the time knowing, is today the day I'm going to kill my baby? Fact of the matter is, people decide to continue with it. That's absolutely justified. And they should have that opportunity. If they don't, do you know what actually happens when it's illegal and they can't? They need to travel over to a different country, or in your case, a different state. And their baby is posted back to them in a little box. They have to leave their baby in that clinic. A wanted, loved baby that couldn't survive. And that's, again, compassion is what's needed when you look at each individual case. When it comes to elective abortions, again, I would love to see a rise in the minimum wage, a rise in healthcare and childcare we have a huge issue at the moment in terms of school places. There's not enough schools for children to be sent to the schools next to them. Particularly, even worse when it comes to children with disabilities. I mean, I live in West Cork, and there are people that have to travel 3 hours to get a child to school, and that's just a fact. The problem with elective positions, as you say, if you know that you are not ready to give the time, attention, and care to that pregnancy, and you decide, right, I'm going to end this pregnancy, wait a while, and when I'm ready, I will have another attempt. Because let's be honest, it doesn't cause infertility. Abortion does not cause infertility. But what medical abortion does, and I'll let you speak now in a sec, what medical abortion does, it induces a miscarriage. So it blocks a hormone, just like a miscarriage would for the mifepristol. And the misoprostol then is contractions. So it is as natural as you can get without being with medical assistance. That is the procedure of a miscarriage. So it's not something unnatural. It is not something that's damaging. It's just a decision. I'm not ready to be a parent, and that should be enough. Because you don't have to live my life. You don't have to live someone else's life. So before it actually, the fetus, the pregnancy develops into what is a human child, you want to get that as early as possible.
So I guess I have a few different points with that. Induced miscarriage is an oxymoron because a miscarriage is natural by definition, and you cannot induce something that's natural. So to me, it's like saying, I'm going to give you this poison and you're going to have a heart attack. So therefore, it's natural because it's causing a natural reaction that makes you die. An abortion is the intentional killing of the embryo or fetus, no matter what procedure. It could be pills, it could be aspiration, suction, dismemberment, whatever. They used to use saline. I'm not sure if they use it now. So it is the intentional killing of some sort in some way that ends the life of the fetus or embryo. So regardless of what it is, it's not natural. It's still intentional killing. It may cause some things that your body will do that are like a miscarriage, but it's not a miscarriage. It is an abortion. I have had a miscarriage. I was 5 weeks along. I did not know I was pregnant, and I went through that alone in my bathroom. One of the most horrible things I've ever been through. I have hardly told anyone, so this is out on the internet now. But that is natural. I cannot stand it when people want to say that a medical abortion is just an induced miscarriage and try to equate it to a miscarriage, because it's not. I lost my child. I didn't even know I had a child, and I lost it. And it's really hard for me. It's been almost 3 years now, actually, 2 weeks, 3 years. And then I guess the last point is that I don't want to go back. I think you said something like when it actually looks like a human child or human or something like that. But appearance, killing based off of appearance is very discriminatory. We have lots of people who have abnormalities who are born who do not look anything like you or I. And so to kill based on appearance is discriminatory. To kill based off of stage of development is discriminatory. To say that I can kill a fetus because it's not a baby is like saying I can kill a baby because it's not a teenager. To kill based off of our age and the way we look or the way we act is basically, it's eugenics. And so a human child is created as soon as a man and a woman conceive. That is science. So whether you want to talk about if you think it is or not, that's fine. You don't have to call, if you're pregnant, you don't have to call it your baby. You can call it whatever. I don't care. So I guess this does go back to you saying you taking the point of what a woman wants and me saying biology. But it doesn't become a child. It is a child from the moment it exists. I think that was all.
Fair enough. There was something that I wanted to come back on, and it just left my head.
I had that happen too.
Well, first of all, can I just say respect to you for being able to talk about it?
Yeah, you
Because
too.
it's not an easy, when you're talking about, we are emotional creatures. Oh yeah, it comes back to this. When we talk about abortion and legalizing it in particular, again, how we feel about it is one thing, but legalization is a big, big deal.
Mhm.
When it comes to legalization, and it's gone again. My brain, I swear to God, my brain is like mush at the moment.
It's okay.
Yeah, it comes back to the fact that it's the state's responsibility and it's a state's relationship with the woman. Okay. When you are pregnant, you have a relationship with your doctors. When you are pregnant, you have a relationship with the state. When you work, you have a relationship with the state. There are a lot of people who do not look at it from the religious perspective. The religious perspective is from conception. I'm not religious. I grew up in Catholic Ireland. I studied Catholicism. I studied a range of different religions. I'm not religious. And so it's the same with same-sex marriage. It's the same with a range of different issues. I'm not religious. I don't hold those views. As a society, we come together and it's a social contract and we decide what is it that our citizens want and need. Our citizens are the ones with birth certs because that's where the societal relationship between society, between a state and a person begins. That is, the formal contract is a birth certificate recognizing you as a citizen. So as a citizen, is it not the state's responsibility to reflect its citizens in terms of what everyone agrees with, or what the majority of people agree with? Now, you say the states, it's a rise in pro-life. We're the opposite. Most of the world is actually becoming opposite. And the question is, should the state be based on religion and religious doctrine? Which actually, to be honest with you, it's not religious doctrine. Anyone that is religious and is questioning their pro-choice should look for Catholics for Choice. Catholics for Choice is an organization in the US who make the religious points much better than I can. But my question to you is, should society and should the state in particular, who is creating this legislation, respect society who are not religious? That bit of society, and it's a growing bit of society, that is not religious, or should it be religiously dominant?
So I don't think religion should govern a lot of things, in at least in the U.S. I think that's wrong. So I definitely agree with you there. Abortion is not a religious issue. It can be. A lot of religions do take on abortion and have different stances, but abortion in and of itself is not a religious issue for us. I grew up Catholic for 20 years. I'm 21 right now. I do not see myself as a religious person anymore. I do not practice the faith anymore. I just am kind of floating around, if that makes sense. And my whole stance, even when I was Catholic, was never based on religion. There are actually millions of non-religious pro-lifers in the U.S. right now. And obviously I can't say for everyone, but at least a lot of the thousands of people I've seen or talked to who even are religious never use religion in the argument, because it's solely based off of biology and compassion and trying to understand how we can help these people. And so no, I don't think religion should be the point of where we make laws for the most part, but in abortion, that's not what's happening. And then I guess just a quick tidbit, there's like, to me, being a pro-choice Catholic is an oxymoron, just because in most, I think, at least a lot of Christian denominations, I think they're pro-life. Don't count me on that. But regardless, you can't pick and choose what you want. to believe in a religion. So in Catholicism, the basic teaching is that abortion is wrong, except for, procedures to help a mother whose life is in danger. So to be pro-choice is to be not Catholic. You cannot pick and choose what you want, but that's kind of a side point, I guess.
It's an interesting one because, the majority of Ireland ascribes to being Catholic. They say they are Catholic, and yet 170,000 Irish addresses presented within 30 years in UK clinics. So to say that you can't be religious or you can't be Catholic if you're pro-choice, it doesn't reflect, Catholic teaching, being honest with you, on abortion, they never said a word about abortion before 1860, except for the likes of St. Thomas Aquinas and a few others who said abortion is fine up to the point of ensoulment. And that's an important point. What happened 200 years ago? Capitalism began, and they needed the next generation of workers for as cheaply as possible, and so they colluded with the church in order to get those workers. So that's going into a whole different section. Jesus, I won't even go into that. But that's where homosexuality became an issue with church teaching, and I suppose Catholics for Choice, what they try to explain is the difference between church ruling and church teaching and canon. Canon law is different to church teaching, and canon law says nothing about abortion. So the idea that you can't be religious and be pro-choice, well, that's saying 170 people in Ireland, 170,000 women in Ireland can't be religious. Fact is, they are. And if you've ever stepped foot in Ireland, you will understand. But the other thing that I wanted to touch on, if I can remember it now, and I know we're running out of time, it's the idea that as human beings, when we create a society, when we come in as a society, I do believe that we need to have laws that reflect good science. The Medical Health Organization is good science, in my view. And they say the abortion pills, medical abortion, is on the basic and essential medicines list. So when we're talking about good science and we're talking about separating church and state or whatever, we won't even go into that one. Because that's a whole different kettle of fish.
It really is.
But when we're talking about and when we're talking about best practice says that the women are going to have abortions. They are having them right now. Making it illegal is not going to stop it. So how do you deal with it? Do you pretend it doesn't exist? Do you demonize good abortion, bad abortion? Or do you take a grown-up position and say, we need regulation. We need to sort this out, and we need to make sure our women are safe when they're taking this procedure, if they choose to take this procedure. That's the big issue. Best medical practice says we need to stop infantilizing women. They can make their own decisions. There are no other, and I'll leave you with this, there are no other healthcare procedures where a woman or where a person, or even if you can name them, I'd be interested, but there's no other procedure in the known world that can be abused. How many times have I heard, if you have more than one abortion, you're abusing abortion. You're using it as contraception. You're abusing the system. In what other medical field do we use that kind of blackening language and that emotive language? We don't. We only use it in abortion to shame and stigmatize. And the fact of the matter is, stigmatization will not help the fact that women, and will not prevent the fact that women are having abortions anyway. So the state need to recognize that. We need to stop the legislation to ban it and create real regulations that reflect real society instead of sweeping it all under the rug.
I do agree. We, as pro-lifers and pro-choicers, everyone should not dehumanize women, should not speak down to them, should be very compassionate, especially to post-abortive women. I know that's the pro-life position. I know there are a lot of pro-lifers who do not subscribe to that.
Yep.
And I do not agree with that.
I've met lots of them.
Yeah. And I can also say the same for the pro-choice side. It's an issue on both sides that really needs to be addressed for sure.
Yeah.
I think obviously nobody is trying to infantilize women. It's the fact that we think they can make their own choices. It's the fact that we also know that a lot of women are going through hard times to the point where they feel like it is their only option. So we are here to show that it is not their only option, that they have help, that they have people to care for them and to help them through it. And it's like,
well, here's a big question for you on that. If they go and they get your help and they listen to everything you say and they accept everything you say and they still choose abortion, would you respect that choice?
I respect the woman. I do not respect the choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I always respect women, regardless. But I do not respect the choice of having an abortion just because it is the killing of your child. But basically, I have a toddler. If I were to kill him now just because I can't support him financially or whatever, I would be in jail. I would be, really.
But infanticide is not abortion. We do not classify, and this is a big thing. We do not classify accidental murder as murder. We classify it as manslaughter. So there is a difference between a social contract via the birth certificate with society and infanticide and abortion. Abortion in law, technically, there are no laws protecting it. And if you look at most of the human rights legislation, the first article will usually include the words, all persons born. So pretty much every human rights charter in the world has all persons born or all persons are born with these rights.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes you being born to obtain those rights.
Mm-hmm. So,
can I just interject for 1 second? Sorry, guys. It is 25 to. I'll just say, Hannah, we'll just let you respond to that and finish your point.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you've finished, me and Creaky will pick out the questions for you. Is that okay?
Yep, perfect.
Right. So sorry to interrupt. Anyway, crack on.
It's okay. So basically, what was I going to say? Yeah, so I realized, killing a born human is very different from an abortion, but at the same time, it's still the fundamental idea that you are killing a human being. So obviously, killing an adult is not the same as killing a newborn, just as killing a fetus, not the same as killing a newborn, but they are both still killing of humans. So pretty much every single reason you can justify abortion can also be justified to killing a born human, which is, I guess, the point I'm trying to get at here. And also with citizenship and birth certificates, we know a lot of people in history who are not considered citizens or human persons before. And so to say that you do not have a right because you're not a citizen makes absolutely no sense and bring us back to a lot of atrocities in history. My child was my child and still had inherent rights, natural rights. Natural rights are for every human being as soon as they are created. They are not given or granted. They exist upon a human being existing. And one of those includes the right to life. So whether you have legal rights or you are considered a legal person or citizen, sure, that gives you some, advantage, obviously, but that does not take away from the fact that there is a human being here as well, who is not a citizen. So regardless of citizenship or philosophical personhood, it is still a human being. And to say that certain humans are not persons or certain humans do not deserve life simply because of their location or their citizenship or a piece of paper such as a birth certificate, to me, just makes no sense. And then, so yes, abortions will continue to happen. Again, I think I touched on this before. So is murder and rape. And I do think we need to make it unthinkable before illegal. I do think it should be illegal, but I also think that we need to create a society to the point where women are helped as much as possible to the point where we don't need it. So no, I do know that it's going to happen, and so is murder and rape and slavery, sex trafficking. But I also know that if we don't do anything about it and we don't create a society that's going to help women and their children, then we're never going to get anywhere, and we're going to continue having this debate. Yeah, that's
right. Well, before we get into the questions, I don't know if I'm still muted. No, I can say the way you two have handled that has blown me away. So again, like, thanks so much for buying into the spirit of this channel, and you've both been absolutely fantastic. What do you reckon, Creaky?
Yeah, it's the types of topics we're asking people to discuss, or people are asking us if they can come on and discuss, rather. They are very divisive topics. They are sensitive in nature, so it's nice that everyone we've had on since the channel began has conducted themselves appropriately and kept it respectable from both sides, regardless of their own position on the topic.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm just speaking of the topics, actually. Luke Mitchell is in the chat. I just want to say hi to Luke. He'll be on in a fortnight, 2 nights tonight, where he'll be discussing should psychics be legally allowed to charge money. I'm looking forward to that one. And I've spoken to him, and he's got a lot, I think, to say. So I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, so I just want to say hi, Luke. Back to tonight. We've got loads and loads of questions. We've got 20 minutes to get through them. So I usually hog the questions, so I'll let Creaky choose the first one.
Yeah, shall we sort the questions by the order they come in? So if you sort it newest first and then go down to the bottom, and I knew this question was going to come in before the debate even started, so we'll start off with this one, seeing as it's already been mentioned by Keela. If a woman gets pregnant by rape, should she be the one allowed to make the call for abortion and not some law? And that question has come in various guises, but basically, if a woman is raped, should she then be able to choose to have an abortion?
I say yes.
I guess I'm not going to go into a long answer, just a quick answer, but I think honestly, no. And I know that is very controversial, and I'm going to get hate for that. But basically, killing another innocent human being and violating another innocent human being after being violated just creates another victim. I think we should, again, give as much support for these women as possible. And I know 75% of women who are raped and conceive keep their child and are very happy. And I don't believe in making more victims. I believe in creating a society and helping these women to the point where they feel like they have the support they need.
Right, really quickly on that, because, sorry, I know we're trying to get through as many questions as possible. First of all, hi, Team Skeptic, because he's in the chat. Second of all, I can tell you from experience. When I was raped, I am telling you now, I would have done anything to get that fetus out of me. I even contemplated jumping in the river because that was not growing inside me. I wasn't allowing it, because your health, your mental health changes. You have to have the decision, and sometimes it gives you back part of who you are that's been stolen. My problem is when people say the baby is innocent, but so was I, and that's very, very simple. And I should not be forced to continue with a pregnancy that I don't want, that I never wanted, and that was forced upon me. Because the physical and mental health issues, if you choose to go through with it, absolutely the support should be there. If you choose not to, that also should be respected.
I do agree, women need that support.
All right. Next question.
Okay, next question. I'm not deliberately feeling like, I think this wasn't really so much a question as trying to make a point. How many unwanted children has Hannah adopted? Do you plan on adopting any? I don't think that was a serious question. I think that was making a point that there's got to be people there to adopt children. So I'm going to skip to the next one. Peter Quinn.
Can I make a point though there?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, I get that a lot actually. So you don't have to help every single person in need to have an opinion on a human rights issues. I don't have to adopt every single rape victim in order to be anti-rape. But Christians adopt twice as much as anyone else. Okay.
But having said that, right, we will move on. But having said that, because I can't let that slide, there are thousands upon thousands of children in foster homes, in adoption centers. And the fact of the matter is, you have to make it easier for genuine people who want to adopt, who want to foster, to be able to do that and give them the supports that they need. But also, that's not always a viable option when it comes to the question over abortion. As we've mentioned here, there are women who have to cancel their cancer treatments. There are women that there are no children that at the end of it. Their life is in risk. Their health is at serious risk. So there are issues there that adoption and fostering will not solve. So I just had to make that point.
I definitely agree with that. Adoption and fostering is not a solution. I'm just like going off of what they were saying, the comment. But actually, there are not enough babies to be adopted. There are 2 million couples waiting to adopt. And even if all abortions stopped in the US, there would still not be enough babies. And the foster care, there's 100,000 waiting to be adopted because the other 300,000 are not adoptable because they are in the process of being reunited with biological.
Yep. So there's issues there.
Right.
Next question.
This one's yours, Creaky.
No, I thought it was you. You mentioned Peter Quinn, then never asked the question, but I will ask it. And again, this one's for Hannah. Peter Quinn wants to know, does sentience come into it for you?
Does what? Sorry.
Sentience.
Yeah, no, not to me. Because there are people who are born who are not sentient, comatose people, not brain dead, but just plain comatose, who are not technically sentient. There are also people who are anesthetized. These people are still alive. They just do not have current sentience. A fetus does not have current sentience, but it will in the future. And that is why I think it's wrong to kill anesthetized people, because they don't have current sentience, but they will in the future.
Okay. Crafty, have you got anything you want to add to that?
No, not really. I mean, sentience is like the ability to feel. Again, I would say as early as possible, as late as necessary. The only people that can judge for themselves in their own lives and their own positions in life are the women.
Okay, next question comes from Cat of the Castle, although I think this is a repeat of a question. It's so I'll just read the first sentence. It's that people are not going to quit having sex, so anyone who votes against abortion should be foster parents. But we've kind of dealt with that question in the last answer in the last question, haven't we? Talking about
can I just say something on that? I think Hannah will agree. Sex education, free access to contraception, get the healthcare benefits out there before people have sex. And the problem with it is not all contraception works. Not all contraception works all the time. And so having the medical abortion or the emergency contraception pill is important to be available.
Definitely agree with most of what you just said. Yeah.
That sort of fits in well to the next question, which was Michelle, Hazelton. What pro-choice groups are helping raise children?
What pro-choice groups? Well, I can only speak for Ireland. The abortion rights campaign over in Ireland here, Real Productive Health, and Parents for Choice. They're the main ones, and Midwives for Choice.
Okay.
But pretty much in every pro-choice organisation, you will find mothers.
Brilliant. Creaky, next one for you.
The next one's from Cat of the Castle again. Again, I think this one's more of a statement than a question, but anyway, lots of words. The support to make women equal is a whole other problem. Most men still think women are not equal. Maybe someday, but the problem of unwanted children isn't going away until that day comes. What do they do until then?
What we do until then is to keep fighting for equality. And I think that by having abortions because we're not equal, it's oppression redistributed. We are putting our oppression and our inequality down on somebody else instead of actually trying to fix the problems and trying to be equals. That's my viewpoint.
Sheila, anything to add?
I do think we need to start where we're at and not where we want to be, and fight for where we want to be, but recognize that we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is from Mark Swaby, and he wants us to ask both of you if you believe in the death penalty.
Nope. Hate it. Ridiculous.
I'm consistent life ethic, so I do not believe in any of that.
I suppose the reason why it's brought up is because a lot of people who consider themselves pro-life are pro-gun and pro-death penalty. So, again, it's about consistency. That if you are against abortion and for the killing of guilty life, it's basically saying that life can't be redeemed as well. So, big question over that, but let's move on.
It's like Advent calendar. This at Christmas, Creaky. Just what questions next? Your go.
My turn. Next question's from Michelle Brazelton again. Sorry, Hannah, but it's for you again. Do you support criminalising sex because you said not allowing abortion is forced pregnancy?
Isn't forced
pregnancy, sorry.
No, I think anyone can do whatever they want there. I do not care. It is up to whoever wants to have it and whoever does not want to have it, their choice. I just ask that if, pregnancy does happen from sex, that you don't kill your child, but sex, whatever.
Okay.
I have not answered that.
Okay.
So next question is from Jake W. I have a sneaky feeling I might know. So if that is you, Jake W., how the devil are you? Okay. I'm not sure who this one is to, so let's read it out. If you choose to deny the child the right to use your body, is that really the same as killing the child? Hannah said the woman has bodily autonomy. Choosing to deny the right to your body is different from killing it directly. What do you think about that?
So abortion is the direct killing of the child in your womb or uterus, whatever you want to call it. So it is not just denying somebody your body. It is directly killing, because abortion directly kills the child. Denying is more like, I know I've heard a lot of people comparing it to organ donations, and that is actually the part where it does compare. Is denying somebody care is like denying somebody your blood or organ to save your life. But abortion is not just denying, it is directly killing. And it's not even just directly killing. It is, as a parent, you have your child whom you are obligated to take care of, and you are killing them. You're not just saying, hey, please don't use my body. I do not want you to use my body. That's very different.
I'm going to pull you on that, because it's not as simple as saying, I don't want you to use my body. When you get pregnant, regardless of how you got pregnant, when you get pregnant, you're not, the fetus doesn't ask you, can you use its body? Can it use your body? That's the point. And the difference, I think, that was mentioned there between a fetus and a child is literally it is attached to the inside of your body. If you decide not to feed it, or if you decide not to continue with it, you're basically saying, I do not consent to being used as an incubator for 9 months. Now, I know that's a crude way of putting it, and it's a very crude way of putting it, but that is the point. The fetus cannot exist without that particular host, without that particular person. A baby could be taken by someone else, could be raised by someone else other than the biological mother, and that's the point. The fetus cannot survive without that individual person it is attached to. That's what makes it different. It is actually a feature of that woman's body until it is born.
So, sorry, just to counteract that real quick. So if I booted you into space right now with any help, you die. We are in our biologically intended environments right now. This is why we survive. A fetus is in their biologically intended environment in the womb of a woman. So they are alive in that environment. Because they can't survive outside of it, doesn't make them less human, less deserving of rights. Unless if, you put me in water, all of a sudden I'm drowning. Well, I don't have rights anymore. Like, we exist in our biologically intended environments, and it does not mean we have less rights or are less human because we cannot survive outside of them. Yes, a fetus is attached to a woman, but it is not the woman. There's a difference between being attached and being a part of. I'm not a part of my house if I, glue myself to the wall. I am a whole different, human, and I'm not the house. So you can obviously, yes, fetus is inside the woman, attached to the woman, but it is in the environment it is created for. Come in.
Oh, I thought you were talking to him.
Nope. Sorry, that's my brother. But yeah, no. So yeah, it's attached, but is not the woman. It is a whole separate human being.
But again, when it comes to abortion, it does need to come down to whose rights are preferable and whose rights are taken by law to be superior. And unfortunately, in my view, it has to be the woman. Okay, next question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, the next...
I was just saying we'll have to speed up a little bit with them.
Yeah, right. The next question is from Bill Ashby. It's for Hannah again. If you believe a fetus is a person from conception, then are you aware that you are also pro-slavery by definition because you are enslaving the woman to the fetus?
So that basically is saying that biology is slavery, and I do not agree with that, because if you have a problem with that, then you have a problem with biology and not pro-lifers. This is the way biology is intended for humans to procreate. The woman is the person that is carrying the child in the womb. So no, I do not think it's pro-slavery, because letting a biological process such as a child growing in the womb of a mother is not slavery. That is just letting a natural biological process happen in our procreation, in our life cycle as human beings. So no.
Can I just really, really quickly add to that? I don't think it's slavery, but it is, right, the head of the UN Court of Human Rights, who judged on Amanda Mellett's case, actually stated that it was a form of slavery. Now, that person, that judge, was the previous head of the UN Human Rights on torture. So I think he actually knows something about torture. But he actually said that it was a form of torture.
Yeah. I think just allowing a child to grow in the womb of a woman as the biological process of procreation, yeah, to me, you can't call that slavery. But anyway, sorry, next question.
Agreed.
Next question. So next one, I mentioned Luke Mitchell before. He has a question. He says, great respect to Hannah for being for an honest and respectful argument. So well done. But he wants to ask you, Hannah, what are your thoughts on legislating the issue? How will women prove a miscarriage rather than self-abortion?
So I know that's a huge issue. So basically, at least in the US, I can only speak for them, pro-life laws are not going to criminalize women. Any pro-life laws that are passed or bans on abortions criminalize the abortionist or the doctor, nurse, whoever that performs the abortion. So women are not going to be criminalized. And I know sometimes people say, like, it might be hard to judge whether it's a miscarriage or an abortion. I don't know a whole bunch on that issue. That's something I need to look up more on. But I know that most of the time when there is a miscarriage/abortion, there are ways to tell there's a difference. And a lot of these things, I guess they can be, for the most part, proven. And miscarriages happen so often, which is really sad. But yeah, no, I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. I know it has been every once in a while, but it's extremely rare, at least in the US. But yeah, that is something I do need.
Yeah, in the US, it is rare, but throughout South America, there is an assault on women, and women are actually being jailed for up to 30 years for miscarrying because they can't prove they had a miscarriage. And just real quick, on a medical abortion, when you take a medical abortion, there is no proof, absolutely no proof whatsoever of whether or not it was a miscarriage or an abortion. There's none. That's part of the problem. So people are being prosecuted all over South America because they can't prove they didn't take an abortion pill.
Which I think is wrong.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Next question. It's not heavy at all.
How heavy?
Your turn, Creaky.
Okay, the next one is from Dragon176. Questions for both of you. How far into a pregnancy is it not okay to abort a baby?
Well, I'll be very, very quickly right there. As early as possible, as late as necessary. The woman always has the final decision, in my view.
For me, I guess you all know, never. But
okay, and that was it. That was okay.
Have you guys got any questions?
Well, you know what? I do, but I did promise I was going to get through the ones in the thing, and there are some good ones actually. So I will get through these. Hannah, question from Pip Harriet. She was just wondering if you, and I think I know where this one's heading, but do you have a big support system around you or a partner to help you raise your child? Some people don't have that luxury.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of comments on that throughout the few years. So I do have a support system. I am very lucky, and I definitely acknowledge that. So I went to Virginia Tech for my first semester in college. I was in the military aspect of it, the Corps of Cadets, and I got pregnant at 18. My parents, I thought, were going to kick me out. They supported me. Obviously very disappointed, but they helped continue to pay for my education. Went to Thomas Nelson Community College for a little while and then transferred to William & Mary. So yes, I do have a support system, and I'm so beyond lucky. And I realize that not every woman who goes through this thing has that, which again is why pro-life is trying to create that support. Obviously, like, I've seen some comments, it's not a perfect world, like, get a reality check. Trust me, I know. But at the same time, unless if we don't dream and we don't actually try to get that to happen, it's never going to happen. So we got to actually start fixing our world. But no, yeah, I do have support. And as of right now, the father is still in the life of us. We've been together for almost 5 years. Wonderful. Working his ass off, dropped out of college. He is most of the monetary support right now. And then my parents do watch my son while I go to school. But I will say, if you want to hate on somebody for having their grandparents watch the child while they're at work or school, hate on childcare, because it's the same exact thing. I'm just not paying them.
Completely agree with that. Completely agree with that.
Yeah. But no, I'm a full-time student and full-time mom.
Okay, we'll jump straight on to the next one, Catz. Yeah, we'll skip the next questions from Jake W, right? But we are running out of time, and Jake's already had one question. So if we jump forward to Glenn Pearson, for Hannah, when does the fetus become alive? Or using your term, when does the fetus become a human? And for Keela, what is the last point in a pregnancy that abortion becomes cruel and unusual?
So it's alive and a human being from the start. As soon as fertilization happens, conception, we don't change into a species over time. We don't become a species over time. We are the species we are from the very beginning. We are human from the very start. And alive, you know, as soon as conception happens, those few cells as a zygote are growing and growing until you become an embryo, a fetus, newborn, onwards for the rest of your life until you die from whatever cause it is. So it is alive from the moment it begins at conception. There's no point where you are dead and then become alive like that, or an inanimate object and become alive. It is alive from the start.
All right. So my question then was in and around term limits. So again, as early as possible, as late as necessary. When is the latest point? That's up to the doctors and the medical team and the woman. Okay. The majority, as soon as the fetus becomes viable after 23 weeks, 24 weeks, most medical professionals would opt for a C-section or whatever. So the idea, this is a problem because, it's infantilizing women and saying that women can't make rational decisions when they're pregnant. The idea that a woman would wake up after 7.5 months of pregnancy, 8.5 months of pregnancy, and then all of a sudden decide, nah, don't want it, let's have an abortion. That's not what happens in real life. Late-term abortions happen because of several things. Risk to life of the mother, risk to health of the mother, fatal fetal abnormality. Those are the 3 issues that late-term abortions happen, and they usually happen up to about 23, 24 weeks. And so I'm sorry if you don't agree, but if someone is in a situation where their life or their health is at risk, or they decide they don't want their child to live a life in pain, regardless of how long or short it is, and they decide that it's not right for them at the 22-week scan, then they should be allowed to have that support in the country where they live with their support networks around them instead of removing them from those support networks. So as early as possible, as late as necessary. That's what that means. That you take it on a case-by-case basis, and legislation cannot do that because it creates blankets. This is the cutoff point, this is the cutoff point, this is the cutoff point. So if you say 20 weeks, and people don't usually have their scans until 22 weeks, then there's a problem there. So women and their families in those situations have to sit down and decide what is in the best interest in their circumstance.
Quick tidbit. Yeah. So according to Guttmacher Institute from the US, most late-term abortions happen for the same or similar reasons as elective abortions in the first or second trimester or earlier abortions. It's due to, not knowing gestational age. It's, not wanting to be, like, your situation has changed and maybe you're a single mother, etc. Most are not due to fatal fetal anomalies or life of mother. And even in those cases, C-section or delivery can be done. So late-term abortions are never necessary.
Well, the Johns Hopkins University disagrees with you on that. Because what they say is that the majority of late-term, and when I say late-term abortions, post 15 weeks, post 18 weeks, that's what's considered a late-term abortion, up to between 18 and 23 weeks. That's what's considered late-term abortion. Now, there are some institutes that conflate the two, and that say from after a medical abortion, that's a late-term abortion. It's not a late-term abortion. So I would look a little bit into that. And if you do have that study, I will look at that. But the American Psychological Association and the Johns Hopkins University absolutely disagree with that. And
this study is coming from the biggest pro-choice organization and institute in the USA.
Can you send that on to me afterwards? I'd like to have a look.
Yeah, actually, I can put it up on the screen unless...
No, well, we're running out of time. So
sorry.
I'd love to have a look at that. I would love to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I'd also like to look at yours too. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Go on.
What's next?
We're running into overtime, deep into overtime here. Creaky, should we just pick one to finish on, do you think?
Yeah, go on. And you ask the last question, and then we'll do exactly the same as we've done every other week before I sweat myself into oblivion. I'm sure that Hannah and Keela will be more than willing. Well, I hope they will be willing to answer the questions that have been left in the community tab that we haven't had. There's not many, but there are a couple that we've not had the opportunity to get to.
And I think they have been addressed. So, I'll very quickly read them out, but I think they have been addressed because Call the Void talks, basically, is a question, should a baby be allowed to be aborted at 9 months? But Crafty has made a opinion clear on when she feels, and it was as late as necessary, wasn't it? Early as possible, late as necessary. Bacon Earth, again, asked a question to Hannah, is your pro-life side due to religious belief? But I believe she's answered that, and she said no. So, so we've got one question left from Kalonji Harrington. Hannah, your position would, in fact, it's two questions, so I'm just going to ask the first one. Your position would involve effective sex education to reduce the amount of unwanted pregnancy, but should religious institutions be allowed to teach abstinence-only sex ed? And if not, how would we go about regulating them?
That is a hard question. I do agree we need much more comprehensive, worldwide, comprehensive sex ed. When it comes to religion, I think that's a whole nother issue that we kind of even went on a little bit earlier. So I don't want to get much into that. I do think that to a certain extent, religion and religious freedom has to be a part of the country. But on the other hand, we also have to look at, the benefit of our country and the people in it. So I'm not going to give a yes or no because that is a very difficult and in-depth question to answer. But I definitely agree we need a lot more sex education, comprehensive, to help reduce abortions and just to help people in general.
Fantastic. Crafty, do you want to just have the last word before we wrap it up?
I want to back that up. We do need real sex education. I don't believe that religious institutions, first of all, I don't think religious institutions should have formations as schools. That's me personally, because again, education, yes, homeschooling, that's fine. But education is a societal relationship, and that should not be dominated by religious institutions. If you want religion, it should be a private thing. It should not be taken. And I grew up in an area where every single school, even now, or pretty much every school, except for the Educate Togethers, are religiously dominant, or have them on religious figures on the board of management and board of directors. So I do think we need to separate church and state completely, but again, that's a different topic for a different day. Education should be run by the state, and it should be reflective of the state's rules and laws. That's it.
Wow. And there we go. I did notice somebody in the chat posted about we're not voting this week. And, you know, I did remember after the first round, and then it wasn't mentioned, and I just sort of went with the idea that it's such a sensitive discussion. It might be one that, you know, would do well without voting on.
We've all got our points across.
We've both done an exceptionally good job. So yeah, so apologies, Creaky, for not putting those polls up. I don't know what you think about that.
I forgot, and I'll be honest, I didn't notice. Sorry.
You look like you're sweating out.
Yeah. I'm close to I'm close to expiring. So thank you both very, very much for handling the way you have. It's been another interesting conversation. Judging from what I've been seeing in the side chat, it was very, very divided, as we would have expected. But I think you've both done an excellent job.
Yeah,
and thank you for doing it.
Thank you very much.
Gladly have either of you back on other topics as well. I really would.
And Keela, it's you mentioning that what was it, church and state should be separated. It would be really handy if you knew two devastatingly handsome men who owned a debate channel that you could discuss that on, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Maybe in a few weeks, definitely, I'd be interested to get out there.
Brilliant. There we are. Brilliant.
That was just fishing for me to come back.
Yeah. I picked up on that. You
have proof now because it's on a live stream. Damn it.
Exactly. You can't back out now. We've just got to find you in a port. Well, like, when I say we, I mean Catz, obviously.
He's the HR person.
He is. He's the finder of people, and I just push buttons and say inappropriate things at inappropriate times. Yeah. Right. Thanks very much to everybody who's tuned in. Hopefully we'll see you again next week. If you ladies would like to say goodbye, we're just about to go dark.
Yeah. Saturday I will be on Taddy Bogle's stream. I will be on Schrodinger's Cat stream after that, and I will be on the Shills every weekend. And I have a video that just came out if you want to check out my channel. Bye.
See you later, Crafty.
And I will be on the floor because I'm just about to pass out, so bye-bye.
Yeah.
There we are, we muted.